Do you notice that when you take it before the workout, besides the endurance boost, is that the pump also lasts longer because you shift energy production from glucose to fatty acids, and thus glycogen is preserved to a certain extent, even in a carbohydrate deficient state? Yeah, so I did a Cardarine deep dive. It's very troubling because the cancerous dose is lower than the anti-cancer dose. So first you have to get cancer and then the anti-cancer dose.
And then remove it.
And then it removes it. So if you go with Cardarine, you need to go high dosages. Basically, that's what the deep dive suggested. But it's all rodent studies and the scientific evidence is all over the place. I did a good deep dive on it. I do like it, though, for the guys that have trouble losing body fat. But again, it's something like for 8% body fat onwards, because up until that point, you don't really need it. The guys run it way too early. In my opinion, I'd rather go on SLU-PP332 and that whole stack than go on Cardarine. But it does work quite nicely when combined with carnitine and other compounds. It's quite unique in how it works, and it's falsely classified as a SARM when it works on the PPR receptors.
Yep.
Dean, did you ever try it?
Yeah, I like it. Very first time I tried it was 2016. And at the time, who was coaching me
before the cancer studies.
Yeah,
you're like an early adopter, like smokers. Well, this shit is great. It kills my appetite. Yeah,
well, just like everything else back then, I aired at 10 milligrams, which was, yeah, you're close, but you're not that close. I remember at the time, who was coaching me was a big fan of like giant set training and a lot of stacked exercises. And the first time I took it was before a leg day, where it was literally like 5 set giant set workouts. And I was shocked just the endurance that came from it, the muscular endurance or the aerobic capacity that by the time we got to the end of the first round of 5 exercises, normally you'd be a little gassed or you'd be a little winded, obviously with a lot of exercises, little rest, high reps. It was just a strange thing that you were, it's like you've gone for a run, but you're not out of breath.
Right.
That's the easiest way to explain how it took effect. And fat sort of PPA agonist aside, it dramatically improves your ability to train, and because you're not fighting to try and keep up with the amount of work you're trying to do because of you're not as gassed. So from an oxygen perspective, definitely a noticeable effect when you take it.
Do you notice that when you take it before the workout, that besides the endurance boost, is that the pump also lasts longer because you shift energy production from glucose to fatty acids, and thus glycogen is preserved to a certain extent, even in a carbohydrate deficient state or deficit?
Not that I've not, but that is, it's a good point.
That's what I noticed. That the pump is just more intense. Again, I do a ketogenic diet, so my carb intake is like 70 grams per day, unless I go ham on Sunday. But then it seems that towards the end of the week, when I run Cardarine at maybe 10, 20 milligrams per day, is that I have a better pump towards the end of the week. So I'm not as depleted from a glycogen perspective. And that makes the last 2 workouts of the week just a little bit more enjoyable, because on a ketogenic diet, the pump is already shit. And then when you're dieting, the pump is shittier. So the Cardarine and it doesn't matter how much Anadrol and injectable pre-workout I take, right? At one point, the pump is gone. So the Cardarine kind of helps to preserve that. And it just makes it, from a mental perspective, when you go into the gym, that after 5 sets, you still get something. Instead of if you do 12 sets and there was nothing, and you basically had to floss it the entire way through. So that's what I noticed. And I heard that anecdotally. I hear that more, that effect is present, then people see that their HDL goes up. I never see that on blood work.
I've seen it a couple of times with 20 milligram dosing, but again, that we're looking at anecdotal response. And if it's going to raise HDL, then the only real mechanism it's going to do that is by lowering hepatic lipase.
I was going to say that's the only mechanism it could do it by.
Yeah.
How the interaction there from a
does
PPR?
Does it interact with hepatic lipase?
I couldn't find that in scientific evidence.
I mean, it must if it's doing that.
Yeah.
That, you know, and that's anecdotally was one of the first, aside from the endurance benefits, was, oh, well, this has promise for raising HDL.
Yeah,
does it come?
That's in the clinical trials that all got abandoned.
Is it as a consequence of doing aerobic exercise, which we know raises HDL? I don't know. You know, is it the fact that you take Cardarine and you're going to do more aerobic exercise to take advantage of its action, and then that increases your HDL? But the other side of it then is, if you're on sky high dosages of androgens, you're going to increase hepatic lipase. No matter what you take, you're not going to lower that. You're not going to improve the suppression of it. So that's probably, why it doesn't improve on blood work if they're on quite a significant amount.
All right. I can still agree to S tier though, even though it does cause cancer. Just give it an S.
Carcinogen or no? S.
The FDA
talking about S tier.
The FDA would have a field day. So you're saying this causes cancer, but you want us to approve it?
Still put it in S tier, man.
I mean, smoking cigarettes will help you lose weight too, and that's S tier.
Yeah, I mean, dude, in the 90s, like Dennis Wolf and a couple of German bodybuilders, like Marcus Rühl,
whole packs.
They were smoking cigarettes, whole packs, and
he's still alive.
Course,
I mean, still alive, and clearly it doesn't cause cancer.
Cut in great shape.
That was not medical advice.
Yeah, no, it's never. Nothing is medical advice. I mean, the disclaimer is thick, 3 pages long.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.